Testing 1, 2, 3. It's now or never. So today, or this month, and actually today, marks 22 years since a fateful incident that caused a dramatic change, or traumatic actually, shift in my life. And to this day, I'm still suffering the consequences, physiologically, psychologically, socially, and emotionally, mentally. So, and the reason I say this is because it has also affected and keeps on affecting the relationship with my children. Because they were told for many years that I was lying about what happened. Yeah, anyway. So, I'm doing this as much for myself as I am for my children, to hopefully them to understand and come to terms with why their mum is a certain way. And made certain decisions. And I'm very sorry that they suffered too. And are traumatised by me. So, 22 years ago in March, on a Sunday, I had it with my partner, or so-called partner of the time, going out, getting on the drugs every weekend, binging full-on drugs with mates, and then, well, complaining all week about his mates. In fact, it seemed he didn't even really like most of them. And blaming them for, why he was always taking drugs, because they were, what would he would say all sorts, but he would make out that they peer pressure him, and say things like he's under the thumb if he's not, partying on. Yeah, every Friday would come back to the house I was renting, because he was renting elsewhere on and off, and literally walk in and have a fight, create a fight, if the kids weren't running up to him, hugging him, and, and he would come in and it was just normal, kids running around. Not, if we didn't all give our undivided attention to him, it was already bad mood. But even if we did, he would create something to then basically walk out the door within half an hour to an hour saying, see ya. And we wouldn't see him for the whole weekend, and then he'd just turn up on a Sunday. Well, I was over this by that Sunday. And I rung up the place where he was staying, which was a butch mate's house. And so I said, come and get your clothes. I was trying to act all tough, but I was livid as well. And the reason I said, come and get your clothes too, is because that was one of the excuses he used to turn up at the house. When we'd have our breaks or separations, it was anything. And so I just wanted get those clothes out because he wasn't even properly living there. And I dumped them all at the front, and nothing happened. But just as I was about to walk out the door with our daughter in the pram, he turns up in the car and also brings that butch mate. And they get out of the car, both of them all gruff, and start their, put downs. Or she did, really, and he was just all like arrogant and gave me the face that he did. Like I did something wrong to him. And him just turning up with his car was doubly infuriating, because that was the other thing. He had the car to come and go. I didn't have a car. He didn't help me get a car. He knew, I didn't know how to buy a car, but he had a very controlling issues and he knew that I came from a family very controlling that also had issues with me having a car. And that created a lot of issues for me, like thinking I could have a car. Not knowing the first thing about cars. Like I had a license because I did pay to get a license, had my drive, did the drivers and everything else. But outside of that, like look, there's a lot of complexity. But so he would come and go with his car as he pleased, turning up at any hour, whenever he pleased. And he always seemed to come and go just as I was on one hand, or either feeling at the lowest, or when I was feeling ready to, okay, that's it, we're over, so he'd always leave at the lowest and seem to know when I was feeling great, in the way, okay, I'm going to do this on my own, I get it, I have to just, be a sole parent. And then he would come and, do his little sob story again, blame his mates, blame his mum, blame his sister, blame his life for why he was that way. And anyway, I had him and I go way back to year 8. Anyway, they turn up with the car and there's this limestone rock on the floor, and I pick it up. It's actually quite heavy, but I had this super strength, and I was about to smash the windscreen of his car. Now, not as a point of destruction, but I just didn't want him to be able to drive backwards and forwards, turning up as he pleased. I didn't want him there, but I was like, oh, this car. But all then in my head was like, oh, crazy Latina. That's all I heard. Just all negativity, from years. And then all I heard from that bushmate, you better not or I'll smash you. And I had just learnt that I was pregnant again. And she knew, so it was early days, and my first thought is she's going to kick me, like in my groin. And I put down the limestone boulder thing, and there was a stump about 5 meters from me, and I had to walk past him, and I just went there and I sat and just let go, and I was so tired, and that's all I said is, I'm so tired, please, I just need a rest, please, Ben, please look after the children, please, I just need a rest. And she grabbed onto my wrists, and they were both standing over me. I don't remember anything he was saying, but he was standing over me, and she was he was standing on my left, she was on the right, holding onto my wrists, and she was just saying, no, they're your kids, they're your responsibility. And I said, but that's our daughter. But I just need a rest, please. I just need a rest. No, they're your kids. They're your responsibility. He loves you. You just make it so difficult. That's why he's never here. And she just went on and on and on. And I just kept pleading. Please, I'm just so tired. Please, And I was extremely tired from months of this drug-fueled thing, week in, week out, with him and his mates and her, and it was just and the control issues behind it. But so I was just kept asking, please, please, I just need a rest. No, it's your kids, they're your responsibility. And yet we had one child together. I had a child with someone else. But for all intents and purposes, I did think we were a family. He came and went as he pleased. He played family and house when he pleased. And, I was pregnant again, and I get really bad morning sickness, and all I needed was the reality was I actually needed a break from these people. Anyway, she kept going, and all that came into my head was years of being blamed of my own family, my relatives, blaming my parents' problems on me, blaming my parents' violent relationship on me, blaming other relatives and family problems on me. Basically, me being born apparently ruined everyone's life. And that's all that kept running through my head is, everyone's better off without me. I can't bring another child into this world. My other two children will be basically taken care of, but they don't have to live this ongoing torture, because I'll be dead. They won't have to. Anyway, not anyway, but I'm just trying to stay focused. I just thought that at least people might not talk about me to the kids, but they won't talk bad, or at least my relatives, I thought, because that's one thing. They don't speak ill of the dead. Like this, I was always being put down in front of them and being, they were just seeing their mum be put down, being weak, unable to stand up for herself, then getting angry, lashing out, being called crazy. Just thought they'd have somewhat of a basic life without me. Anyway, so I'm sitting on this stump, and she's going on, and he's just looking over me, like they were both standing over, like freaking standover tactics. And this all happened very quickly. But I was just getting flooded, like my whole life flashed before my eyes, and I saw the veranda. It was a wraparound veranda of asbestos, weatherboard asbestos, like hard stuff. That stuff to build houses that they did from back in the day, and I just ran straight into it full pelt. With my head, I ricocheted off, and all I heard is, "She's crazy, she's crazy, she's crazy." And I just thought, fuck, I'm still alive. I rammed my head through it, into it again. Next thing I remember, I am sitting up against it, and they're pulling my arms up, like trying to get me up, but I can't see out of my left eye. And she's going on, but I cannot really make out what's being said now. But definitely crazy's there. But I can't, yeah. And it tried to lift me up, and just, yeah, I'm sure she's just going on and on and on, mate. And all of a sudden, to just get away from her voice, I all of a sudden get energy. I jump up and I ran. What I mean is look, took 10 paces and went into the veranda, and squatted down in the corner like a scared little child. And just before that happened, I saw someone across the road looking over at us, and they didn't even come to help. I don't know, it felt like a Twilight Zone. So I ran into this and crouched down like, please, please, just... And I heard some footsteps coming up behind me, and I was so scared. I turned around and went to punch whoever was, and it ended up being Ben. And he grabbed me, but when I punched, I had no strength in my hand. I had no strength in my hand whatsoever. And he just grabbed me. And I just said, please, please, I just need a rest. I just need a rest, please. Yes, I am crazy, please. I just said, please. And it looked like he had fear in his eyes, but he wouldn't say anything. He was just holding my arms down so then I couldn't move them. And she picked up our daughter and she said, come on, Ben, let's take Ruby. She's crazy. And as soon as she said she was going to take Ruby, I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I just need a rest. I just need a rest. As soon as I said that, she threw Ruby back into her stroller and said, no, that's her child. Let's go, Ben. And that was Ben's child too. And with that, he took me out of that vice lot, followed Cha, walked past his daughter, didn't even look at her, nothing, got back into his car and drove off.